I'm Stan Leach, Athletic Director of Bernie ISD, and I want you to wear your mask. Go Greyhounds! Go Chargers!
This is Kelly Parker with Northeast Athletics Department, here to remind you to please wear the mask, social distance, stay clean, stay safe, so our kids can come out and play.
Hi, this is Stan Lang, Executive Director of Athletics for Northside Independent School District. We look forward to seeing you at all of our competitions, but please play it safe and wear your mask.
We're all growing together on this journey. Welcome everybody to a special edition of KENS 5 Sports. I'm Joe Reinagle.
And I'm Evan Klosky. With high school sports looking a bit different and disjointed, we thought we'd get you up to speed on everything you need to know with these kids returning to action.
Now in this special, we're going to show you what stadium protocols look like when attending sporting events. We're also going to analyze the different timelines across the board, including one district pushing back games longer than anyone else in the area. Plus, we'll hear from athletic directors at the 1A to 4A level about what they've learned so far. We'll also hear from the athletic directors at the 5A and 6A level about getting ready for the upcoming season.
Now, back in March, the UIL had to make the tough decision to cancel the boys' state basketball tournament that led to the cancellation of spring athletics. It also led to some changes in summer workouts. Then late in July, with fall sports approaching, the governing body made an interesting call. Let's have smaller schools start on time and more populated schools hang back for roughly a month. When we say 1A to 4A schools, we're talking about student bodies with less than 1,230 students. As per the UIL, volleyball and football were allowed to start practicing on August 3rd. Volleyball then began games on August 10th. Cross country held its first meets a week later. Then on August 28th, our first Friday night football under the lights.
That was a good thing to see. Now, as for the 5A and 6A schools, it's been an uphill battle. Football and volleyball squads finally got to practice for the first time on Monday. That was September 7th, with cross country scheduling meets on the very same day. Now, volleyball starts games next week on the 14th, with football programs getting a little bit of extra time to prepare. We'll see them step onto the field for the first time beginning September 24th.
And it has been so exciting to see the bigger schools get back in action, work, and put the helmets and pads on, Joe. This has been a lesson in patience for so many kids and coaches and parents. For months, these athletes have had to adjust their schedules and workouts to prepare for the upcoming season. The 1A to 4A schools have shown them the way. Now the 5A and 6A schools are ready to follow their lead.
You know, we've had summer camp, so we've been able to get a little taste of it. But I think all of us have had the itch to put the helmet on and get back out here, so definitely a pep in step.
We've all been doing like our individual position stuff, like getting our work done on our own, keeping everybody safe, but now we're just getting back into it. It's just a great feeling.
It was a lot of fun flying around the football, working some drills, being back with the team. It was fun.
A breath of fresh air. I mean, when we out here, everything is right. It just showed that how much football means to the sanity of everybody. And just to see the kids out here running around, it was a huge compliment to their parents and the coaches and everybody that's made this decision possible.
Yeah, and as happy as they are, we are equally thrilled. Here's the big question, though. Will 3 weeks of preparation be enough when the off-season conditioning programs have been compromised? Well, talking to a lot of these coaches, they give all of the credit to their players. You know, for a long time, these schools had to do virtual workouts, and it was up to the kids to hold each other accountable. For the past few weeks, though, these programs have been able to gradually get going, leading up to helmets and then eventually pads. The key now is striking a balance between going slow and steady while also being prepared for a quick start at the end of the month.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, a long process, especially, having to take everything step by step, trying to get back to, where we once was last season. So, it's going to take time to get there, but, as long as we abide by the rules and everything, we can get to it.
This bunch, they've been busting their tail. When we couldn't touch them, when they were having to work by themselves, the player-led mentality definitely kicked in this summer.
A lot of new adjustments, a lot of new ways that we practice, a lot of new ways that we isolate our kids to provide a safe environment. But once they get it right, it's going to be great. We just have to demand that it gets done right now. It's more important than snapping a football.
You know, the coaches, as you heard, are staying positive, and more importantly, well, they've been preparing for months to execute this season, so I know they're confident that they can get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, Joe. They don't really need to reinvent the wheel. We know coaches steal plays all the time, which is why all of these bigger schools have had a close eye on the 1A to 4A squads. Vinny Vanzetta explains.
Ryan Miller and I, he was my offensive coordinator over at Holmes High School when we started out there. Came over here with us over at Harlan and opened up the school. And then a year later, he got promoted to be the head coach at Marion.
It's an example of the coaching fraternity paying off during this COVID season.
You know, obviously I talked to him on the phone and a few other coaches that are on his staff that just gave us some hints. You know, they've been going since June.
And Coach took it one step further. He went to Marion's season opener.
As coaches, we're all going to get caught up in the game and the X's and O's and trying to win a football game. But to be able to step back and see it from a different perspective in Carson City and looking what Marion was doing, just gave me good ideas of what's working. One of the things I got from them was almost a Pop Warner kind of style football, you know, where they show up, they go straight to the field. Equipment's taken home.
And even though 5A, 6A teams around the state have yet to play any games, they're already winning, thanks to the protocol pandemic game night successes at the lower levels.
Yeah, I've always been on the positive side of these situations, and I think they're kind of proving that at the lower levels with 1 through 4A. I'm hopeful we'll have a full season. You know, we'll see how it goes, but I know where everything's trending right now looks good, and we're trying to do everything we can to make it happen.
My one concern is what everybody's doing when they're not around us in a controlled environment. And so we've encouraged all of our athletes to just be smart. If they'll show up here healthy, we can guarantee they'll leave here healthy.
Well, I tell you right now, our administration has been working hard, and they've been doing a great job of staying up to date with UIL and in almost daily contact with them to do the best that they can.
It's not all a negative. I think there's some things that we'll take of what we're doing safety-wise and protocols and everything, just keep it going through our program because it has made us a little bit better.
It is what it is, and you know, coaches have plans A, B, C, and D, and E. We got Z now.
It's a fluid situation day by day, but so far, so good. Vinny Vanzetta, KENS 5 Sports.
You know, it is so cool to see that the smaller schools are teaching the bigger schools on how to do this whole thing.
Nice
I think it's
there.
great. Yeah, it's awesome to see. Well, speaking of the bigger schools, they're going to get started pretty soon, and I know you got your eye on a couple of teams, some that we need to watch for this season.
Yeah, we just saw the man Eddie Salas himself. I'm going to start with the Harlan Hawks. They're moving from 5A to 6A ball, which is, of course, a challenge. But that 12-1 record from 2019 was not a fluke. All those talented playmakers from 1 year ago are returning, including quarterback Cannon Williams, who is one of the best signal callers in San Antonio. This offense is going to be dynamic, and even though the defense needs to build its secondary, I expect these guys to make a big splash in their first year in 6A. Joe, you got a team?
Yeah, Evan, I do, and I know this district got a lot tougher with the addition of Brandeis, but I'm going to go with the Reagan Rattlers. Last year was an unusual down year for Lyndon Hamilton team. In fact, they had some quarterback issues, some big issues, because of Texas baseball commit and longtime starter Travis Staley. You know, he was dealing with that injury. So in comes Lance Lawrence. He took that spot, and he certainly took some lumps in his so-called rookie year, but he got better. He got a lot better, and I expect the woes of last year to turn into positives this year. Then you factor in sophomore running back Carson Green. This kid rushed for 1,700 yards, also scored 11 touchdowns as a freshman. Then they've got a handful of three-year starters on defense. I'm expecting a big bounce-back year for Reagan, but I know, Evan, you got another one.
And it's the team we're all thinking of. You cannot have a football preview without mentioning the Judson Rockets. And even though quarterback Mike Chandler is gone and off to Colorado, the Rockets do not rebuild. We know they reload. Two of their offensive linemen recently committed to UTSA, so they have the bulk up front to protect the Anthony Lewis, a beast of a running back holding loads of Division I offers. They also have 6 returning starters on defense, so even though the transfer of quarterback Jordan Battles and running back LJ Butler did not work out, they are still going to be one of the final teams playing for a state championship in our area.
Evan, can you imagine if Battles and Butler would have gone to Judson? That team would have been unstoppable.
Stacked.
Oh, my goodness. We know, speaking of Jordan Battles, it certainly was a bit of an ordeal. The UIL denies his transfer from Brandeis to Judson. He's actually going to play for Holy Cross this year. Now, we still don't know where LJ Butler is going to go, but this has easily been the biggest talker of the offseason.
Yeah, You know, if you want to go on social media and see all the buzz, go right ahead, because tons of people in our community are weighing in on the topic. Look, we'll give you the facts. Based on the hearing, it seems like Brandeis and Battles were not getting along. Brandeis saw him as a quarterback. I think Battles is trying to get some game tape on the other side of the ball. We asked Jordan if he will play 2 ways at Holy Cross. That decision hasn't been made yet. Jordan's dad, Sean, also has a couple of jobs. His residency is in the Converse-Judson area, and according to them, this was a safety issue for the father driving home at night. No matter where you stand on the issue, the UIL made its decision, Joe.
Yeah, and you have to live with that. And you know, Evan, I watched that entire hearing, and it was simply fascinating to watch that thing because you got to hear both sides. You know, David Branscombe had his chance to weigh in, the Battles had their chance to weigh in, and you kind of understand the both sides of the story there, but it is the UIL's decision, and we all have to live with that. It's just unfortunate for both of those young men.
Yeah, and we very rarely see a reversal once it hits the UIL in that point. The most important thing is to make sure that these 2 kids can play this season, showcase their talent, so of course they can get that scholarship that they so covet and can present their talents on Saturdays at the next level. We do know that Battles is going to be playing at Holy Cross. We do expect Butler to be playing somewhere. He can return to Wagner.
Yeah.
So those are the things we'll work out for, and we just hope the best for those kids. That's the most important thing in this whole process.
Question, because both of those guys are so much fun to watch on the football field. I want them playing somewhere. Okay, now we heard from the coaches and the players about returning to action, but the administrators are really the ones organizing the charge, and it's been one heck of a job. I mean, my goodness, these guys had to sort through all kinds of logistics and then execute a plan without a hitch. Vinny Vincetta has their perspective.
I feel better today than I did about 3 weeks ago, yes. Yes, it does. It gives us a lot of hope.
This high school football season is as much logistics as it is X's and O's, and with the initial success at the 1A through 4A level, that has the big schools encouraged.
To be quite honest with you, we've been collaborating with the smaller districts and seeing how they're doing things and learning from some of the things that they've, what to do and what not to do.
We're watching what they're doing really closely. You know, we're going out and visiting their venues during the games. See what they're using as far as signs go, direction of spectators, how they're getting them in and out of the stands. So we're using them in a lot of ways, actually.
We saw the protocols in action firsthand with these season opening games. They worked, and San Antonio City High Schools are ready to make them work too.
The big one is wearing masks. UIL allows groups of 1 to 10 if they enter a stadium together to sit together.
We feel like we can hold somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3,000 people at Rutledge Stadium.
Our priority is to, first of all, have a plan to allow parents of athletes and fine arts students to have first priority to get tickets, so we make sure they have an opportunity to be at those competitions.
We have to keep doing what we've been doing. We got to have our face coverings, we got to sanitize, we got to keep distance and keep doing those things for us to have a chance to have a season.
Let's play some Alamo City football. Hopefully. Vinny Vincetta, KENS 5 Sports.
I certainly do not envy these athletic directors, Evan.
Yeah, no, I don't either. It is the toughest job right now, and it has not been smooth sailing for everyone. While most of these 5A and 6A schools will play a complete district schedule, others will not, most notably SAISD schools, which have delayed all in-person athletics until October 5th. And as you can imagine, this move has received some pushback, Joe.
Yeah, no question. In fact, a handful of players representing the SAISD gathered Monday at Alamo Stadium to show their displeasure with that decision. In fact, several schools represented, and well, the main message was pretty clear. They wanted to know, why do we have to wait when all of the other schools are underway?
This is incredibly important for seniors because a lot of guys aren't going to get another season. A lot of guys, this is where it stops. After they finish high school, they're done. So I think that those guys deserve their one last season, and a lot of guys have been playing this sport since they were kids, so this is all they have. I think that they deserve this season more than anything.
They're trying to care for us health-wise and everything, but I mean, we see these schools practicing, and they have like 50 more players than us, and we're not practicing yet. We had to wait a whole another month, and it's just frustrating. Like, we want to get out there too. We want to practice social distancing. We want to start the season already, so it's just a little frustrating.
Yeah, so we will see what happens there. As for some smaller schools, they've been unpleasantly delayed as well. The city of San Antonio issued a health directive on July 17th limiting extracurricular activities until September 7th. So even though some teams in the city were eligible to play based on the population of their schools, they were advised not to suit up based on this information.
Yeah, now one of these squads is Somerset. When the initial ruling came down, we were thinking they might lose 4 or 5 ball games, but because they are a 4A school, well, they were able to move ahead with board approval and get the season going. In fact, they're going to begin the year 2 weeks late, albeit, but they'll do that tomorrow against Sealy.
You should have been part whenever it was, pushed back, not knowing when the season was going to start, and we were getting to do a little bit of things here and there, but. The good thing is that they're out here now and they're having fun and enjoying every minute of it. Attendance has been great, which is surprising knowing that there's no games going on. But, and I think a lot of that is in part because they get to be here and away from their house. And so that's really what they look forward to every day. And so do we. We look forward to being out here with the kids.
Yeah, I know everybody's having a good time, but flexibility and creativity, that is certainly the key for this season, certainly 2 key words. And, I can't even fathom the amount of different plans and proposals that all these schools have been looking at.
Yeah, we see it with the schedules and we see it with the health and safety protocols. The separation is in the preparation, but also there's a harsh reality here, Joe. Everyone still has to follow the rules to make sure our athletes are able to do what they love to do.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Evan. And regardless of what you think, right or wrong, the rules are the rules. And if the procedures aren't followed, well, there could be consequences. In fact, reports emerged last week that the UIL is actually threatening to ban fans from the stadium if they don't abide by the mask requirements and the social distancing protocols. Well, that's why it's very important to know exactly what the stadium guidelines are before you head out to your ball game this week. And remember, if you're not comfortable going to these matchups or you don't feel like the restrictions aren't fair, it's okay to stay home. This would be the only year UIL allows live streaming of contests under the lights. So all you have to do is check with your local ISD for a link, kick your feet up, watch the game right on your computer or your smartphone.
That's right, Joe, and I cannot stress this point enough. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Every district is different. Some follow the UIL guidelines to a T and nothing more. A good example of this is the UIL says you need a face covering if you can't maintain 6 feet of social distance. But at a district like Bernie, it doesn't matter. They want you to wear a mask the entire time. The game has gone unchanged, but almost everything else about the ambiance of high school football has gone through major alterations. Let's start with the fans. You'll almost certainly need to purchase your tickets online. Plus, you'll see the aforementioned face coverings and hand sanitizer everywhere. Once those 5A and 6A schools get underway, it's hard to imagine the UIL mandated 50% seating capacity won't be reached, meaning even with schools alternating rows, it's hard to keep 6 feet of distance, so be prepared to wear those face coverings most of the game unless you're enjoying concessions. The players are doing it on the sidelines, the cheerleaders, the student section, the refs. So that's a new look. Also, hydration for the players. No sharing. Each athlete has their own bin with water or Gatorade. If they need a swig from another source, individual cups are provided. No usage of the water hoses.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Now this certainly is uncharted territory, so obviously the first couple of weeks have presented some fine-tuning, if you will, for 1A to 4A athletic directors. Well, Vinny Vincetta has more on some learning lessons after the first 2 weeks of play.
It felt like we finally played some football, but as it was, Class 1A through 4A started on time. And the better news, all protocols COVID-related went well.
Our fans were tremendous, and we feel good about it. You can always get better, and so we've debriefed, and there's some things that we'll continue to make better.
I haven't heard any negative reports. Our stadium was 50% full, which is good. That's what we wanted. And, I think we got a ton of viewers online. And so as far as our protocols went for our team, our kids done a great job.
Without saying so officially, the first Friday was the statewide test run, if you will, as much as it was about competition.
No mask, no entry.
I'm glad everything worked out and everybody complied, and it was a good atmosphere. With the whole COVID thing, I still felt like a Friday night, and it felt like we were there. So it was a good thing.
Absolutely no problems. We looked like we knew what we were doing for the first time, and I think
There may be a couple of hiccups, but we're going to address those as we go.
1 or 2 lessons learned, a little more supervision, a little more education, and asking people to be patient with each other while we're implementing these protocols.
I'm sure we'll get some people feeling us out, trying to figure out, what we've done, what things we've improved on after having our first home game.
And the universal feeling seems to be that if the lower classes can pull it off, so can the big boys.
We had, a couple of ADs from San Antonio come by, and they gave us the thumbs up.
Time will tell. Fingers crossed. Vinny Vanzetta, KENS 5 Sports.
All right, thank you, Vinny. So really this is a learn as you go type of thing. Now, there is a risk when putting the pads back on, and we've learned this with the smaller schools. Pleasanton, in fact, missed 2 weeks of practice with a confirmed case. Navarro shut down and missed the season opener after 18 positive results, 10 from the staff, 8 from the players. Then there was Kennedy. They also missed a game for similar reasons. Now, the infection period for individuals who test positive is 10 days from the time symptoms first appear.
We don't present that slate to scare you. It's just the reality. Now, on an optimistic note, these schools were able to get back on the field. And if we continue on an optimistic note, let's look at another sport like volleyball. They're more than a month into the season, and those schools are still going strong. I was able to meet up with the Bernie Greyhounds to talk about their adjustments during such unprecedented times.
High school athletes don't care how the games look right now. If they're playing, they're happy.
The anticipation's kind of been high because we don't know when our last game is going to be, and so we're kind of all just playing as hard as we can because you never know.
There is no room for complacency, and in some cases, there's not even enough room for fans.
Every school's different, so it's kind of like a surprise. Every time we travel, we're like, okay, how many people get together this one?
Bernie is just one of many smaller schools making adjustments to keep the season going. Masks on the bench, altered celebrations, constant sanitizing, old habits sidelined out of necessity.
It was a bit strange, but now it's my new normal and I've just become accustomed to it. They have a system, they're great at it, and we're just really proud of them.
There's a fulfilling feeling with this sacrifice, though. The Greyhounds are off to one of their best starts in more than a decade.
I'm really proud of our team with the adjustments we've made because it definitely hasn't changed our game. I feel like it's almost brought us closer together.
We're practicing hard, we're competing hard, and for them, we just approach it as, don't lose any moment.
Addison Amick is one of 3 seniors on the squad. She cannot hammer home that message enough.
And I didn't know if I was going to have a season going into my senior year. So to have a season this year is just kind of it's a big deal to me. So I'll take the extra mile, I'll do the extra thing if it means getting a season.
So yeah, there's a new look, but these girls are playing volleyball in the fall, and for them, that's the only normal they need.
Yeah, it was great talking with them and the team, and they provided the perspective again that they don't care what they have to do. They understand the times are difficult and different, but as long as they can play, they're happy.
Absolutely. And I think we all kind of take high school sports for granted. We just assume it's going to be there. Certainly as fans we do, but you talk to the coaches and the players, whether it's football, volleyball, whatever the case may be, they are so happy to be doing something they thought they were going to be doing anyway. And when that's taken away from you, man, there's like an empty hole in everybody. Nobody knows what to do, and I think that speaks for all of us. So I think just the fact that this is back on, even though it's a little bit different and there's some protocols to follow, people are just happy that these kids are being able to get out there and play and that we're able to get out there and watch.
Yeah, the final thought I want to leave with is sort of the thought that we started with, and that's we're all growing and rowing together. We're all figuring out how to do this. We all need to help each other, all right? So this isn't a time where we necessarily need to put what we feel like on the table. It's just sometimes there are rules and protocols that are in place, and whether we like it or not, those are the rules and protocols that allow these athletes to play. And when you talk with every single one of those coaches, those kids, families of those kids, they just want to see their kids play. They want to see them happy. And that's what we want too.
Absolutely. So let's turn off all the other noise that's going on right now and let's just enjoy watching these kids play.
And as we wrap up here in the KENS 5 studio, we have one more parting message from our athletic directors to the community. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Scott Linoff. I'm the athletic director of Shirt Cibolo Universal City ISD. Just a reminder out there to stay safe, wear your mask, keep your social distance. We've all got a goal of getting our seasons in this year and bringing activities and sports back to our kids, and everybody plays a part.
My name is Mike Miller. I'm the men's athletic director for Judson ISD, and I just want to encourage everybody to support athletics, but also wear your mask. We want to get a handle on this COVID pandemic.
Hi, I'm Jim Streety, athletic director for the New Braunfels School District. I just want to encourage everyone to wear your mask, sanitize, keep your distance, and enjoy some high school football.
Hello, this is Keith Higginbotham, athletic director here at Somerset Bulldogs. We'd just like to make sure that everybody wears their face mask. Make sure that they stay protected at all times and keep everybody else safe as well. God bless you.